think there's a lot of fear, misunderstanding, and just general confusion about social media and how we can use it in science. I'm here to explain the impact that can be generated from social media. I'm not here to convince every one of you individually to spend 24 hours, 7 days a week on social media. There is a huge difference. So just keep that in mind, please. I'm just going to give you a bit of a background about myself. I'm a scientist by training, actually. I studied cellular and molecular biology. And from the start, I decided not to go for research because I was studying in a really poor university that didn't really make me want to go for science. But I changed my career path towards public relation, and I worked in London for 2.5 years in the pharmaceutical and biotechnology sector. But since 2009, I've been working in science communication for publicly funded organizations, and that makes a big difference. When I was working in London, there was no social media yet, so that was not even in question. But the tone, the marketing style, I think I can say it didn't really affect me so much, and I consider myself more as a communicator than a marketer. I work at the ILL, which is a nutrient source based in Grenoble, France. And I'm involved in European projects. I'm the only one in the communication team to be involved with them. Those are the past ones that I've been working for. 2030 is actually the one that hired me. And now I'm involved with those other European projects that you might have heard of. I mentioned this to say that I'm here talking for and about ReMade, but I have also gained experience in other projects, and there are currently 15 European projects at the ILL. I'm not equally involved in all of them, but the short list on the side here shows you which are the ones that I spend most time with. And it's the same observation every time. The European projects, they need to be known, they need to be recognized for the value they bring. Now, if you have a look on the social networks listed in 2024, I put these slides there just because defining a social media can be a bit tricky, actually. Here you have dating apps. Not everyone would consider that as a social media, but that can be actually defined as one. It's a platform, public, where you have an account and you can share content and stuff. So just to focus on what we're going to talk today, I'm not going to cover all that. I'm just going to cover the most usual ones, luckily. We wouldn't have enough with an hour. But I also want you to participate. I have designed that session in a way that we would have a bit of an exchange. So the idea is for you to scan this code. The first question is, do you use social media professionally? Use can be connecting, having a look at what's going on, and engaging, which are two different behaviors, I agree. But it's also just for me to have a bit of an idea to whom I'm talking to. if you're already familiar with some. Yeah.
LinkedIn?
LinkedIn is definitely one. Yeah. So
yes,
LinkedIn, Twitter, actually, yeah, so LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And I've got a list on the next question, so maybe I should have done it the other way around, but it's just also for me to know if spontaneously you would consider yourself as a social media user or not. So we have a clear majority of people who do. seem to believe they are social media users. And now the next question is, which one do you use? You can answer multiple answer, like you can take as many answers as you want. Again, it's professional. I'm not talking about personal life, sharing pictures of patients and stuff.
But do people use TikTok professionally? You have TikTok professionally?
Yeah. Yeah. It does exist. People do use TikTok professionally. And Reddit also, maybe you're not really familiar with it, but Reddit, some people do ask some really focused scientific questions on those platforms. Depending on the domain, it can be considered as one of the social media that people use. So we have a vast majority of people using LinkedIn for the moment. ResearchGate, that's an interesting one. I wasn't sure if I wanted to put it there, but actually I'm glad I did so. Not many people consider it as a social media.
I would not.
But it's one. It's one because you can engage in conversation, ask questions, share your publication, and overall it gives the visibility of your work to maybe a restricted audience that would be mostly composed of scientists, but it is by definition what a social media is, to share content in a given community. So that's interesting already. I'm going back to my slides. Yeah. All that to say, social media matters for science because they bring what we're looking for in terms of impact. Impact has become an important word nowadays. But it's important because we need collaboration to be successful. We need our reputation to be also quite excellent. There's a need for transparency. I'm going to talk about it again, but the increasing mistrust in science is a concerning thing, and we have to do something about it. It's not just in the hand of the science communicator to convince everyone that we're doing the right thing. I think it's everyone has a bit of an individual responsibility here. It also provides opportunity. Whether you're looking for a job, I mean, LinkedIn is an obvious one, but if you want to work with someone and you just Google it, Google the name of that person, and you get to see his or her social media accounts. It really gives you a flavor of who that person is. Do you want to work with him or her? Is this the kind of environment which you're comfortable with? I don't know. You do get a lot of insights, and that's not to be underestimated. There's a lot you can tell about yourself just by posting few pictures from time to time. So it could give you opportunity to recruit. It could give you opportunity to work with people, to get displayed in art pieces. I'm not going to list them all, but it's definitely a chance to, by your visibility, more likely to have good experiences with beyond the scientific community as well. So it all comes down to trust. If you get to know about someone that is publicly sharing his routine or her routine or the way they work or how they feel about their collaboration, how they celebrate the milestone in their career, how they behave as a group member, you do gain a certain level of trust that then can unlock a lot of hesitation to get in touch, a lot of barrier to find the right person to contact him or her. Trust is the key. Who uses social media? So it's mostly scientists from a certain generation. PhD students, for example, they are really used to it. For them, it's not to say that they all do it, but it's definitely a growing majority of users from the youngest generation. And I personally believe it's a good thing. And I will, of course, describe that later. This is the kind of Instagram post I picked up for you. It's quite simple. I mean, the idea is just to say, hi, my name is Lucas, I'm working here, I'm doing that, and follow me in my adventure. It's not, it doesn't have to be pretending to be the best social media influencer or whatever. Like, you don't have to endorse a rule that you don't want to. It can be just simply simple. Just say, I'm doing this, I study this, and have a look. And Aram is, can you recognize the boss? Aram is a really good one. I'm a bit of fun. Again, it's a short video. It just shows bits and pieces from the lab environment, what the sample is like, what the data look like, and what the team looks like. And they're all smiling, so that's good. And yeah, so this is the kind of example I can show. Now, from the institutional point of view, we as a project must have an identity, and we like this. Okay, ReMade has a logo, but that's about it in terms of identity. The identity that ReMade can have apart from its logo is our faces, our actions, our behaviors, and the challenges that we commit to fight, and so on. So my point is, even if from the ReMade account, we do post regularly about webinars, about publication, about experiments, it won't have the same impact until you guys do it as well. So this is an example from Virginia, from the very recent conference that was taking place in Spain. And it's just a good display of what we want to see. We see that ReMade ARI identity, clearly. Rihanna is there too. So for those familiar with Rihanna, that could be also a way to bridge the gap. And then you have people talking, going to the stand, and so on. So, a good example. Another one from the ESF. I'm sorry, I didn't research to facilities I was not really familiar with. So I kind of kept to my own private, not private, but my closest ring of contacts. ESRF is next door from my institute. So, of course, I do follow what they do as well. Here we have Beamline that is opening its own LinkedIn account. And that is also something you might want to consider if you do not want to do it in your own name. You could choose your instrument, choose your group, choose like a larger identity almost to blend behind, and do some social media actions as well, if you're really unclear about doing it with your own team. And this is another UCAN project Nephews. Max 4 here shows one of the people who got to spend 1 week discovering the installation, the equipment, and do some experiments with already existing users. So those are just some examples. If you go on social media, you're familiar with them. Now, I think it's time for my next question. Yeah. So I'm going to show you 3 posts that were published on the ReMade ARI web LinkedIn account. And I want you to guess which one were the most successful in number of impression. Impression is how many people have actually seen it. So it's been going into their threads. And so it's not really the success of the popularity of the post, it's just which one has LinkedIn chosen to show most to people who had nothing to do with ReMade or just a little bit. The first post that was a few years ago, or a few months ago, it's a workshop. We have some Institut tagged. So ESMF, PSI, ILL, we have some people tagged as well, so mostly the junior scientists, and Gary also. This has gained 87 reactions. So reaction is all the small icon you see at the bottom of the screen. It's a like, a support, or celebrate. It has 5 comments and 3 reports. The second post is about Hercules. That is going to happen next year. It's going to be the 35th edition of this school that is really well known in large-scale facility world. It has 71 reactions, 1 comment, and 17 reposts. And the last one, it's a cool announcement that we made for TNA. And it has 26 reactions, 2 comments, and 9 reposts. So now, using the Mentimeter survey, I'll ask you to guess which one was the most successful in terms of impression. It's a ranking question, so you actually have to rank them in the order you believe is right. A, B, C, A, C, B, and so on. They're waiting a bit because of that 20 more people who could answer them. Okay, I think we won't wait for the last 12 people to validate their choice. So there's a pretty clear ranking here. Everyone seems to believe the workshop was the most successful one. It wasn't.
Oh.
Actually, the most successful post was about Hercules. And you have here the number of impressions. So why is that interesting? Hercules doesn't have human people on it, so you could guess that the first one with more pictures, more faces would be more attractive. And here it's a bit of it's my interpretation, of course, but Hercules has been existing for such a long time. It has welcomed so many students for 35 years that almost everyone who's been part of it has strong memories of the school and would encourage other people to apply for it. So here we have like it's just the popularity of the events can work in favor of the popularity of our publication. That's what I want to highlight. Sometimes it's also really useful to publish something about a specific event or school, or even I don't know, grants or awards that most people will be happy to know about. It doesn't necessarily have to be always about question. What are the impressions? This comes from the statistics. The statistics that we have a lot of analytics tool behind the ReMade ARI account. And so we can know for exactly each post what is the number of impressions, how many people clicked on it. We don't have the time spent on each post, but LinkedIn consider that a post is reviewed if the people stop on it at least a certain amount of time. So it's extremely complex. They have statistics for, for about everything. And yeah, so this is where the figures come from.
So I have a question. I was thinking that 17 reposts, of course, is very good for having impressions because it might be that this is amplifying it, but it's not scaling. So there is more than that. There's a bigger complexity here.
So I just repeat the thing for those who didn't hear. We can see that the middle post, the helpless post, has 17 reposts. And we could tend to believe because it has more reposts, it has more impression, which is not necessarily the case for number C, which had 9 reposts, but still less impression than A that had only 3 reposts. So it's true, it would be logical to believe the more you repost, the more impression it makes. And that would be indeed quite logical. But here, what's interesting also is that it reached people beyond our own network that knew about the event. So they recognized it, they liked it. And then they're like, oh, and Annick was telling me earlier, after this specific publication, our numbers of followers increased. So for them, getting to click on something they are familiar with, and then realizing, what is that ReMade thing? Actually, that's interesting, I'm going to follow it up. So this is also the kind of trick we can use.
Their network, and in which network are they?
Yes, that makes sense. If someone with a really large network repost, automatically it has a better reach than if people with 2 followers repost. But still, it's not. It can't be only analyzed down to the mathematical network because it has, like, the algorithm make it also a bit trickier than that. Another question?
Yes, I would think that the third one was the most viewed because they mention other facilities, so they get access to their contacts, but it's not the case.
It's not the case because they didn't react with it. They were identified and it stayed there. So this is also why it's quite important when you are tagged into a post. It's important for you to at least give it a like and eventually repost it with your own thought or just as it is. But yeah, we have a long list of tagged institutions and everything here. And also this has been advertised internally by email to the whole consortium, encouraging the people receiving the email to go and give it a like. And that didn't happen. Well, it happened to the amount of 26 people, which is, I think everyone would agree, pretty limited number of people given just the size of this consortium. So it does make the difference to like it or not, or to click on like on that. Yeah.
Which is the number of impressions of the, let's say, what is the number of impressions you have to reach to consider like high impact?
Okay.
Normal.
So it's actually not that simple. It's not a threshold of impression that we need to reach. To know if your post has a high impact, you need to see how many people react to it versus the number of people who've seen it. If almost everyone that has seen it has reacted to it, you have a really good score. It's called the interaction ratio. If it's been seen by thousands of people and 1 people liked it, it has a really bad score. So actually defining a high impact publication doesn't only come through the number of impressions. Here was just for you a test to do, but this is not the key indicator as it is. It's just, it's easier for everyone to understand what an impression is than than the other one? That's a really good question. Now, as a scientist, what are the platforms that you should engage with? I think today the most clear one is LinkedIn. I'm not going to talk about X. I'm not going to talk about it because there's just no need. I mean, it's behind us. It's we could have a lot of philosophical discussion about it. Just for those who were not aware, Elon Musk has voted for $44 billion. And since then, it lost all credibility because everything is biased. He's putting his own advertising first. The whole system has basically collapsed. The people who have been fired by him try to recreate the same kind of social media on Blue Sky, but there are still niche community there. It's still growing, but it's super slow. When I joined the ILL, we had nearly no followers on Twitter. After a few years, we had about 6,500 or something. And it really broke my heart to decide not to use Twitter anymore because I had spent a lot of time and effort into that. But what we did on Twitter paid off on LinkedIn as well. And many people came along, had the same decision that we did, and they joined us on LinkedIn. So now the scientist community is definitely increasing on LinkedIn. When I create a post for ILL, most of the time I can find the people I want to. It's becoming easier and easier. So it's a clear sign that more and more scientists are joining. LinkedIn is mostly for recruitment, to discuss with people working in industries, and it's really valued by our funding bodies, such as the European Commission. We, for those who didn't read the deliverable we provide, we are asked about our figures on social media. This is one of the indicators that they want to evaluate to decide if we perform or if we don't perform. Instagram, we are here targeting a much younger audience. Students, bachelor, masters, it's a bit younger, but what they want is stories. They want stories. Like even the thing is called story. So it's they don't want to know one fact. They want to know a story with a beginning, a challenge, and the best way for that is to use videos. Instagram is made for videos, such as YouTube and TikTok. But YouTube and TikTok, so TikTok is again a bit of a niche one. But YouTube, let's stick to YouTube. It's popular with students for long content, for long video content, and that can get really deep into details as long as you have long media to work with. So, as a scientist, what can you post? These are just, sorry, there's a question? Yeah?
So apart from the static picture of this, can you comment a bit on the trend? So, for example, the interplay between Instagram and LinkedIn, from a dynamical point of view. People, when they become, 30 years old, they abandon Instagram and they move to other things, or they just slide with it and then LinkedIn will disappear and everything will be Instagram. What do you think?
People who've had Instagram, usually they stick to it. But you're right saying that someone who's a bit grown up is less likely to start an Instagram account once their career is a bit more established. They have less time, let's be honest. And because it's less part of the culture there. But this is what the young people are, the young scientists are. Like tomorrow's scientists, they're on Instagram today. So if you want to recruit good PhD students, if you want to be really visible with the student community, you can't do without Instagram. This is where they are. And they use it daily. Like, so it's a big part of their brain time span. I move on. So these are just a few examples of the things you can talk about when publishing on social media. There's one thing I didn't list, but you could consider it. You know, we have all those World Day of Science, World Day of Circular Economy, World Day of. So if you also lack some inspiration, you can get inspired by those special days to at least mark your calendar to remember to say something about that specific celebration and what it means to you. How does that translate into your everyday work and so on. What I want to highlight really strongly here is for your social media activity to be meaningful, you can't just be sitting in a corner and wait for something to happen. It's just like going to a conference and sitting in a corner waiting for something to happen. You have to engage conversation, to ask questions, to compliment, to, just be curious, to reach out, it's just the same, even if it's hard to believe, but sometimes digital life is quite the same as real life. And yeah, just be yourself, just go and ask a question, ask if they know this person or whatever, I don't know, just engage. That's the most precious thing you can do with your time. Yeah. Few tips. Think story. So I did mention that Instagram is all about stories, but even if you're posting something on LinkedIn, it's good to give it a bit of a context, because just saying, oh, we published this, it's an information, it's not a story. If you say, oh, this took us a lot of time and we had to find collaborators and we were lucky to work with such and such, and afterwards it was a really long beamline nights, but eventually we managed to publish this. It already has a new level of emotional content on it that can get you a better reach. Be yourself. So I want to insist on that because I was told again yesterday by someone in the audience something like, oh, but I don't want to be cocky. You don't have to be cocky. If you're not cocky in real life, you don't have to be cocky on social media. You can just say, I invested a lot of time in this. I'm really proud of the results. I'm grateful for the outcome, and I want to thank my collaborator. It's not being advertising. It's not being, I don't know, overselling or whatever. If you want to get a bit into details, so you have to find the right balance there. But if you can't, I'm saying write down the long explanation in different threads, because for a long time using X, people say that I can't just resume everything 240. That's fine. This is why this thread happened. Now we can have the same behavior on LinkedIn when you can use a carousel. Carousel, it's basically you upload a PDF, and each page of the PDF is a different visual. And so you can play it. And so again, you don't want to upload like page full of text. It's not a book or whatever. But if you want to go point by point and describe a complex thing in different steps, it's a good way to go. Concerning the time you spend on it, honestly, publishing once a week or once every 2 weeks, it's plenty. You don't need to be there all the time. You don't need to be scrolling the pages everywhere. Like, just show up once a week. Find something to say. I don't know, you could, like, someone told me actually that he has a gratitude journal. And that gives him inspiration for his social media posts. Like, actually, this week, this happened. And, that made me feel good. Or I had a good advancement in that specific project that I felt that was kind of blocked. And that gives him the inspiration to know what he wants to talk about. And then when you're not posting, you can definitely still spend time engaging, connecting, reacting, commenting, tagging. If you see an information and you believe it can be useful for someone else, you can share it privately, but you can also tag that person. And who knows, it could be really beneficial for that person because he will be appearing in a discussion where other people will have the same interests. And it's just a way to, it's not a way to expose the person. It's a way to really give him or her some visibility and again, give him a bit of more opportunity. Now, you all know that social media are run by algorithms, so you better keep some things in mind when you post on social media. The average lifetime of a LinkedIn post can go up to 2 weeks. And that's actually quite good if you want to announce an event or announce calls for proposals or whatever, because this will still hang around, likely up to 2 weeks if it's really regularly linked, reshared, commented, and so on. So even if you go on LinkedIn 1 week after something has been posted, if you do activate a bit of activity, a bit of traction, that will expand its lifetime. So it's never too late to comment. Never too late to share whatever. It's actually quite useful. Instagram, on the other hand, it's really up to 5 days. Then if it was shared as a story, it will remain, if you save it as a category, it will be archived in a specific place on Instagram, but it won't appear in a thread of people after 5 days. Just so you know. LinkedIn loves pictures, video, and carousel. Ideally, don't stick to one mode. Change from video to carousel to picture and so on. Video can be 2 seconds long. It can be not. I would avoid beyond 1 minute because there's less and less people who click on videos that go beyond 1 minute. So 1 minute is almost the maximum. And Instagram is only video. Don't prepare long text with emoji and hashtags there because it won't even barely be seen. Just stick to videos. What is penalized on LinkedIn, and you might know it, is the links to external sites. This is why you might have noticed that people share link as the first comment. If it's in the first comment, it's okay. If it's in the post itself, LinkedIn won't advertise it, but won't share it so much because they want people to stay on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is designed to track people and stay there for as long as they can. So if you want to share an external link towards a paper, a web page, whatever, try to remember to put the link in the first comment. Instagram is not good for long text. I mentioned that before. The use of hashtags, there are trends, but overall we use them less and less. In LinkedIn, you can still use a reasonable amount. I would say not more than 10. On Instagram, you can go further. Your whole text description is just hashtags. The algorithm not only more minded, but it will actually be beneficial for you for the post. In all cases, try to avoid using hashtag in the middle of sentences. If you want to highlight a specific word, just write your sentence and then copy this word at the end using a hashtag in front of it. Okay, I had to show you this as well because if you're going to prepare some visual, you want to know that not all formats are welcomed. Actually, I didn't translate this, I realized this now. It's in French. But you get it. It's for each format, you have the maximum weight, the resolution maximum, the length of the video. For example, here it's 15 minutes from a piece, but only 10 minutes from a smartphone. And what I want to show you also is if you're active on both social networks, remember that Instagram is all about portraits and square format. So you need to know before you even start filming or whatever, what kind of format you want to use. I thought I would give you a bit of personal tips, but also I think there are more questions that can be answered. Yeah, I'll go through this rapidly and then we have a bit more of a survey. Fonts for Twitter is just really good if you want to highlight some bits and pieces of your text. So you don't have that, well, actually you have too many options, but the only acceptable ones are displaying here, although not all of them are acceptable. Emoji, Terra, I think I like it because it doesn't only give you, Emoji Terra is one bank of, one database of emoji, but I like this one better because if you type the same keyword, it gives you more idea. Sometimes it can give you a combination of emojis and so on. Again, emojis, use them, but reasonably. It's good to structure your text. It doesn't have to overwhelm the whole message. If you don't know where to start for the design of your visual, Canva is just extremely used, especially by the younger generation. All our students now, they know how to use Canva. They use it for their presentation and so on, but I think they've done a really good job in being quite conceptual and working from Excel table to LinkedIn post. So this is a good way to get started. You can use this to use the template and just replace their own visuals with your own and your own text. Now, I think we're gonna jump to the survey again. I want to have your opinion about these statements. Currently, what statement do you agree with and to what extent? So I will analyze this with you quickly. Yeah. Just I think for me this occasion was a good time also to know what are your barriers in engaging more with social media. So no time for extra work on social media. I actually was expecting it to have us more strongly agreed answers. So it's good to see that you do consider to have some time for it. What else? The desire to keep work offline and separate from my private identity. So again, I totally understand that. I want to state I don't have social media myself in my private life. Partly because I spend all my day on LinkedIn and that's fair. But I do understand the idea to keep things separated, and I absolutely respect that. Once again, I just want to emphasize that you don't have to share personal information or your work life is more or less public already, especially because you publish, everyone knows with who you collaborate and so on. So it won't go behind that level of information. You're in control anyway. Lack of confidence, that's good. You were pretty confident, so well done you. And then the uncertainty of oversimplification. I know that many people in the past have told me that they would be afraid that their own post or text or quotes or whatever would be taken out of context and misused or So this doesn't happen much. And I've been working for 9 years in social communication. I've never heard of anyone living this. I think it happens in Hollywood business, but not inside. And concern of being distracted from more important tasks, that is a real issue. I can tell you once again, I spend my day on LinkedIn, and sometimes I wish I could unlock a bit earlier. It is a bit addicting. It is designed for you to spend a lot of time on it. So set a timer on. This is what I do. I have a timer, and when it rings, I just turn it off. And this works. Now, so interestingly, to me, I saw the first statement have been approved by more view. So that's something I might want to discuss a bit further with you later during the meeting right now. I'm pretty glad to see that you're all careful not to reveal private information on social media. And consequently, or what I want to say, actually not, well, not many of you have experienced cyber violence on social media. I just want to stress that we are in a community that is just smart at the time, and there's no such thing as harassment or such thing on social media in science that I've been aware of. If it does exist between people who know each other already, and it doesn't have to do anything with digital. It was there. It might be amplified by the digital way, but it's extremely rare that someone who has no idea about who another person is starts harassing his or her in the scientific community. Okay, so we're running a bit out of time, so I'm just going to show you 2 videos.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know how to respond to it, but it doesn't mean privacy.
Wow. Yeah, there are things you need to know about your privacy. For example, recently LinkedIn changed one thing. You have to set it up so that your data, your private conversation and public post won't be used for AI training. So there is definitely something to keep an eye on regarding these topics. If you really want to be secure, you have to be a bit informed, but it's really easy to get information. But this is what I mean by privacy control. You need to keep that in mind. You don't just open up an account and then trust the system. You have to be a bit allez, let's do this one if you have any. What is the tool that you use when it comes to social media? Well, like anything you would use to prepare your post, to create visuals or whatever.
Oh, not social media itself.
Yeah, or even what social media do you use? Lightroom. Lightroom is for picture editing, so that's a good one. Smartphone, indeed. That's really useful. ChatGPT. Nothing. Good. Yeah, in collage. That's actually a good one. Especially, yeah, if you want to have different picture on one single frame. Although on LinkedIn, I would still recommend to have several pictures, especially if you go beyond 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Then you have a little plus, and people can't resist but clicking on the plus to see what are the next pictures. So that's a new way to engage people.
Psychology, this sounds.
Yeah, is there? Oh, yeah, more. Canva, yeah, Canva buffer. I don't know that one. Who wants to what Canva buffer is? Ah, okay. What is buffer for? Scheduling. Okay. Okay, so it's like Trello or this kind of thing. Okay, for scheduling and post. Good. Photoshop. Your brain. Yeah, keep using your brain. That's the best tool. It's really reliable most of the time. Icons 8. Anyone knows this one? Oops. Oh yeah. Okay, like a database of icons. And you use them in your visuals? Okay. So yeah, it can be a good way to give a bit of extra. And PowerPoint Instagram editor. The Noun project is another good one for icons. And the Adobe color wheel. This is when you're unsure about your choice of color. Okay, thanks for sharing that. I just want to almost conclude on that slide because I'm running a bit of time. On the left, you'll see a video that was recorded yesterday. So some of you will recognize it. Ah. Ah.
Most people are the ones solving the niche. So if we don't showcase praise from these three institutions, that we are wisely using the taxpayers' money and that there is big impact on the project. And next time we that's I mean, it's all part of this because it's important to understand.
It's important to understand. I think we'd be more and more asked to showcase the impact of the project we are working on. They are fixing it in their priorities for the next framework program, so be prepared. And this is just to showcase. Tesla came to the ILL. I had a chance to interview the scientist who came. It's a Spanish companies, and they're working on concrete, high performance concrete. And this is how he got.
We saw in LinkedIn an offer from the ReMade ARI project. We thought that could be an excellent opportunity to test our materials against different kind of radiation.
So it works. It does work. I know we can't conclude on one single example, but just to show you that people do get to know us, and they wouldn't have known if we didn't do the effort in the first place. So we need a collective voice, and I invite you all to be part of it. And I think I'll stop here.